Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In this video, we will be talking about architect versus engineer, specifically civil engineer versus draftsman versus quantity surveyor, which we called QS. So we're gonna study what these different professionals are, what are their responsibilities, and what they do. Usually, the students who are studying the engineering, they don't know the exact differences between these personals. So in this video, we will be covering the basic aspects of these people, of these professionals. So let's start the lecture. Architect. Architect is a professional who deals with planning, uh, space adjustment, aesthetics. So architect is basically a person who plans a project, and he's a professional or she's a professional. Like you can never be an architect without going through proper studies. You have to study architectural for at least 5 years. It's a professional degree that you have to achieve, you have to get enrolled in. After spending 5 years while studying the entire process, then you will be able to become an architect, and then you will be authorized to do that job. So it's not like कि कोई भी आ जाए और वो कहे कि मैं प्लान कर सकता हूँ और मैं आर्किटेक्ट हूँ. No, for that you need to go through a certain process. Not everybody can do that. You have to go get enrolled into a university, get the degree of 5 years, and while studying all that thing, studying all that processes, uh, the basics of architecture, then you will be able to call yourself an architect. uh, Now, engineer. An engineer is a professional who deals in designing, who deals with execution, who deals with supervision, and who deals with managing a project. Now, architect actually plans. As I told you, he deals with planning, space adjustment, and aesthetic. Plan means to plan a project, which is a simple thing. Space adjustment, the space sizes, the room size, the lobby size, the basement size, the washroom size, and their placement as well, where the washroom will, will be placed, where the room will be placed, where the lobby shall be placed. So the placement of these different things within a project, this is a duty of an architect. But engineer, what the engineers do, they design. Now engineer can be so many. I'm talking about specifically civil engineers. You can also take, if you just talk about engineer, so engineer can be an electrical, mechanical, so they can be it's a very broad thing. So I try to I try to minimize the broader aspect of it so that student can get an idea of. So the engineer, for civil engineers, they can design. Now, what does design mean? Architect also design? No, architect plans. They design, but architectural design is a different thing. It includes planning. It include aesthetic. Aesthetics means the beauty of a structure. The structure should look good when you look at it. It should look beautiful. It should look mesmerizing. But when you talking about designing of an engineer, so the design of an engineer or a civil engineer or a structural engineer, which is a specialty of civil engineering, he or she actually deals with deals with the load and how the structure is going to uh, deals and bear those load. ठीक है, अगर उस पर कोई लोड आ रहा है, expected loads, so how the structure should withstand those load, that is the designing of a civil or structural engineering. The structure should not fail when those loads are imposed on a structure, when those loads are put on a structure. And those loads can be taken. Now ये load कहाँ से आते हैं? For that we have building codes, we have our own experiences, So from there you are going to take the loads and you're going to design the building for the you're going to design the building in such a way that it should withstand that load without failing. That is called designing for a civil or a structural engineer. Execution of project is also they also deal in executing a project. For example, in this picture, if you see the second picture, so what these people are doing, these people are executing a project. So engineers also helps in this. They are there on the site. They are supervising a project so the project can be executed. Supervision and execution, these are almost the same things. Managing a project, also a civil engineer can be a project manager to manage the entire project, manage the entire project from start to end. They also do that. For example, you can see that they are helping the different persons on the site to manage a project. Draftsman. Draftsman is a professional. Usually they are the diploma holders who helps engineers and architects in drafting drawings. I will explain this in an example. Quantity surveyor. Who is a quantity surveyor? He is a professional or she is a professional who deals with the determination of quantity of materials, the materials that will be used within a project. So they are dealing with to determine the quantity, how much material will be used, how much cement will be used, how much crush will be used, how much fine aggregate, which is sand, which we also call sand. Fine aggregate and sand is the same thing. So how much sand will be used, how much, all these things, how much of a wood shall be used to make doors and windows and all these things. So how much reinforcement, which is also called sarya in our local terminology, shall be used. Estimation, to estimate the quantity of those material, to estimate the cost of those material, उनमें कितना खर्चा आएगा, they also manage these things. Now let's come to the practical example. You will understand it very better, in a very better way from this practical example. So this is I'm gonna open up a drawing. This is one of the drawings that one of the project that we designed. So now the initially what happened, this is the architectural drawing. So you will see the job of an architect, do, what architect does actually. From these drawings, you're gonna understand the जॉब ऑफ एन आर्किटेक्ट आर्किटेक्ट एक्चुअली करता क्या है वो इस ड्राइंग से आप लोग सीख लेंगे। ये देखें, सबसे पहले हमारे पास अ, आप देख रहे हैं ये एक साइट प्लान है, ये एक प्लॉट है जिसमें आर्किटेक्ट को प्लानिंग करनी है। ये एक एरिया ऑफ अ प्लॉट। अच्छा, ये जो प्लॉट है ये कौन बनाता है? ये जो नक्शा है, ये जो अभी आपको स्क्रीन पे ये सर्वेयर जाके मेजरमेंट्स लेता है प्लॉट के और वो फिर ऑटोकैड में इस तरह हमें एक प्लान प्रोवाइड करता है कि ये एक प्लॉट का एरिया है और इसके अंदर अभी आपने प्लानिंग करती है। तो ये सर्वेयर करता है। कौन सा सर्वेयर? जो क्वांटिटी सर्वेयर नहीं, आम सर्वेयर जो होता है, जो सर्वे पढ़ता है जिसमें आप थियोडोलाइट और टोटल स्टेशन वो पढ़ते हैं, तो वो चीज़ आपको प्रोवाइड कर देता है। अब इसके अंदर आपने पूरी की पूरी प्लानिंग करनी है। इस प्रोजेक्ट सो फॉर दैट इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए मैं आपको थोड़ी डिटेल बता देता हूँ कि ये प्रोजेक्ट था कैसे। इस प्रोजेक्ट में, इन दिस प्रोजेक्ट एक्चुअली the client came to us and his idea was that he's going to make 4-story building. The initial 2-story will be used for commercial purposes, for shops, etc. The upper 2 stories will be used for educational institute. उसमें कोई school होगा, कोई college होगा, there should be a school or a college in there. So this was the idea of the client. Now who will be making sure that that idea is implemented on paper? Architect will do that. So for that purpose we send a surveyor, not the quantity surveyor, but the surveyor who deals with theodolite and all that. He went there, he took the measurements, and this is the plot area. Now in this plot area, the idea of the client, what was the idea? To make 4-story building, first 2-story will be used for commercial purposes, the upper 2-story will be used for educational institute, कोई school, college or a university, whatever he intends to make. जिसकी वो प्लानिंग कर रहा है, जो वो बनाना चाह रहा है. Now in this area the planning will be done, and that planning will be done by the architect, and client will be sitting with the architect. He will be having meetings with the architect so that the idea of the client is properly uh, planned and properly implemented on drawings on a piece of paper. Everything अभी तक जितना भी काम होगा ये सिर्फ प्लानिंग, ये कागज पे होगा, प्रैक्टिकली कुछ नहीं हो रहा. एवरीथिंग इज we are doing everything on a piece of paper, not practically right now. So you see, these are the drawings. This is another drawings. Now you see, these are the various room, various. This is the, you see. Let me show you. If you come down, so this is a ground floor plan. Now on ground floor, as I told you, there will be 4 stories. Initial 2 stories will be what? Commercial, will be used for commercial purpose. So these are the shops. You can see these are the shops, and in these shops only you will be seeing column, walls, and these are the columns, these black squares. These are the columns. So architect decides the placement of columns. Architects decide the space of this shop. This shop is almost, if you zoom it in, if I zoom it in, so if you zoom it in, so you will understand. Sorry, I just turn it to right. Let me zoom it in more. So you see, these are the shops and the space. See the space, 16 feet, 16 feet 9 inches multiplied by 18 feet 6 inches. So the initial 16 feet 9 inches is this, the horizontal, and the vertical one is 18 feet 6 inches. And these are the internal dimensions. Okay, the internal dimension of the shop. So these are the various shops. This is the veranda. You see, you will be only seeing space. Space, by space means the dimension. So it is 8 feet wide, which means it is having 8 feet space. So see, this is totally what? Space adjustment and the placement of different shops, like the room shop will be here. This is another shop. So everywhere you can see shops, and the stairs are here. So the placement of different things are dealt by architects. The doors, where the other doors will be provided, the windows, etc. So everything, these things will be dealt by the architect. This is another, this is a basement plan. If you see, this is a basement. So basement and ground are having commercial purpose things, and if you see, they are the shops, so commercial purposes. Now let's come to the first floor. This is the first floor. You see, staff room, classroom. The opening is provided so that we can have light. So we should have a natural light here within this area. So you see, these are the various classrooms. This space adjustment, this uh, placement of different rooms, where the room shall be placed, where the stairs should be placed, this is dealt by the architect. You are not seeing any reinforcement, any beam, any column. You are just looking at the placement of this thing. These are the windows, you can see the doors. तो ये आपको नजर आ रहा है, लेकिन सरिया वगैरह कितना यूज होगा, बीम की साइजेस, द साइजेस ऑफ द बीम्स, द साइजेस ऑफ द कॉलम्स, द रीइंफोर्समेंट, यू डोंट सी एनीथिंग इन हियर. In these drawings we will be only seeing space and the placement of different, rooms, washrooms, stair, where they will be placed. So this is dealt by the architect. This is the second floor. This is the second floor area, and in second floor also you have, uh, sorry, this is a basement, and this is the first floor, and this is the second floor. Also in second floor you can see the staff room and classroom, etc., which is the educational institute. So basement and ground floor will be having commercial things, and first floor and second floor will be having educational things. So initial 2 floors are used for commercial purpose, the upper 2 floors are used for educational institute, and that was the idea of a client which was practically implemented on a piece of paper by an architect. This is what architect does. This is the mumty level. By mumty level mean the top roof level. See, aesthetic. how the structure should look from the front. This is the front view of the project. So architect also deals with this, and this is architectural drawing. This is the rear elevation, which means the structure should look how the structure should look from behind. Rear means behind, back, and this is the sectional view, how the structure should look from the sides or within a section. Also, architect deals with this. So, architect deals with the looks, which means the beauty of a project, aesthetics. Also, architect deals with the space adjustment and the placement of various rooms in different places, of various entities in different places. These are the stair details and door and window details. Architect. Now let's come to the structural drawing. Now civil engineer who is having a master's in structural engineering. Now let's see what they do. वो क्या करते हैं? Civil engineer and structural engineer क्या करते हैं? Now you see these are the structural notes. Here you will be seeing this is foundation. फाउंडेशन बाय फाउंडेशन वी मीन बुनियाद कि बुनियाद की क्या कितनी खुदाई होगी उसमें कितना सरिया होगा द reinforcement that is used in the foundation and the excavation. You see these are the reinforcement detail. Every column will be having 5 by 5 feet extra reinforcement, and the raft, this is a raft foundation which is a total, it is just like a slab. Raft foundation is like a slab, like a छत. छत में जिस तरह सरिया होता है उस तरह पूरा नीचे सरिया होता है उसका. There will be totally reinforcement all over this area that you can see. So this is number 4 bar at 8-inch center to center. So this is how this reinforcement should be placed within us, within the base, within the foundation, within the bunyad. बुनियाद में सरिया कैसा रखा जाता है? It is 18 feet, 18 inches thick. The thickness of that raft will be 18 inches. So you see here you are dealing with reinforcement. So what we use reinforcement for? To take the loads. To take the loads, the concrete and the reinforcement should take the load, should bear the load so they don't fail. So this is what a structure or civil engineer does. You see, this is the top reinforcement within the raft. See the reinforcement and everything. These are the column details. Every column should be having these are the various columns, and these are the reinforcement detail within the column and the sizes of the column. These things are specified by the structural engineer who is also civil engineer. After civil engineering, you can have a master degree in structural engineering or transportation. So civil engineer deals with these things, specifically a structural engineer. How the structure will withstand the load. So हम structure को load बर्दाश्त करने के लिए बनाते हैं as a civil engineer. सिविल इंजीनियर का खूबसूरती के साथ स्पेस के साथ कोई काम नहीं होता. He doesn't deal with the space or the beauty or anything. He only deals with the structures so that the structure could take the load, कि वो सिर्फ लोड बर्दाश्त कर सके, वो फेल ना हो. ये स्ट्रक्चर इंजीनियर का काम होता है, सिविल इंजीनियर का काम होता है स्पेसिफिकली. So ये अब छत की डिटेल है कि in the slab how much reinforcement will be used. So civil engineer deals with this thing. See, these are the beams. Now here the reinforcement of the beam has been shown, the depth, the dimensions of the beam. The civil engineer deals with these things. So the basic, and these are the models of E-tabs which I created being a structural engineer. So and this is a designer software. By design software I mean it helps you to design a structure to withstand loads and earthquake loads and etc. So the basic difference is very simple. सिविल इंजीनियर जो होता है वो स्ट्रक्चर को लोड बर्दाश्त करने के काबिल बनाता है. उसका काम खूबसूरती स्पेस के साथ नहीं होता. उसका काम सिर्फ ये होता है कि मेरा ये स्ट्रक्चर पे जो लोड आए उसको ये बर्दाश्त कर सके बिना बगैर फेल हुए. और जो आर्किटेक्ट होता है वो क्या डील करता है? वो डील करता है कि मेरा स्ट्रक्चर जो हो, बिल्डिंग जो स्ट्रक्चर या बिल्डिंग वो खूबसूरत हो, उसमें स्पेस खातिर ख्वाह स्पेस हो, और प्लेसमेंट कहाँ पे हो, कमरे कहाँ पे आ जाए, स्टेयर्स कहाँ पे आ जाए, वॉशरूम्स कहाँ पे हो. सो आर्किटेक्ट इसके साथ डील करता है. ये बेसिक और बुनियादी फर्क है आर्किटेक्ट में और सिविल इंजीनियर में. अब आते हैं ड्राफ्टमैन की तरफ. अच्छा, अब मैं एज ए स्ट्रक्चर इंजीनियर जब नक्शा बनाऊंगा तो ये चीज़ें मैं ऑटोकैड में ड्रा नहीं करूंगा. मैं सिर्फ ड्राफ्टमैन को बता दूंगा कि ये बीम है, इसमें इतना सरिया आपने देना है. तो ड्राफ्टमैन ये चीज़ फिर ऑटोकैड में बनाएगा. ड्राफ्टमैन मेरा रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होता है, मैं जो उसको बताऊंगा कागज पे पेंसिल या पेन पे लिख के कि इस बीम में इतना सर, या इस बीम में इतना सर, या इस पिलर में या कॉलम में इतना सर, या इस छत में इतना सर, या तो वो ये जो चीज आपको ऑटोकैड में नजर आ रही है, ये बनाई ड्राफ्टमैन ने है लेकिन उसको बताया मैंने। तो ये फर्क होता है। ड्राफ्टमैन क्या होता है? ड्राफ्टमैन एक्चुअली ड्राफ्ट्स यू, he helps an engineer to draft these plans. The engineer will tell the draftsman that the slab should be having this much reinforcement. So he will draft it, he will make it within AutoCAD, and that you can see right here on the screen. This has been created, this has been drawn by the draftsman, but who told him? I told him, being a structural or a civil engineer, that this much reinforcement you have to place. For example, you can see these columns. Let me show you the columns. Now I told draftman the column C1 will be having 18. This is 18 inches, 18 by 18 inches, and it will be having a reinforcement of 8 number 6 bars. Now I told him that this much reinforcement you need to put within C1 column, and this will be the dimension of C1 column. I told him, and he drawn it in AutoCAD like this. So drawn, he actually draw things for me. Whatever I told him, whatever I tell him, he draws those things within AutoCAD. So this is what Draftman does, and this is what I do. I don't draw these things in AutoCAD. Actually, Draftsman draws these things. So that is the basic definition of a draftman. Now, the third thing is quantity surveyor. What does quantity surveyor mean? I told you the quantity surveyor, he is also usually a civil engineer or a diploma holder. But the draftman, the quantity surveyor helps in calculating the quantities and their cost. For example, let me open up this Excel sheet. You see, this is an Excel sheet. Now, for example, there is a brick wall. The For example, a brick wall of 15 by 15 feet, and the thickness of the wall is 9 inches, which is 0.75 feet. Now, see what happens. It is an Excel sheet, everything is calculated. So, it's a brickwork, right? So, in the wall of length 15 feet, height 15 feet, and 9-inch thick wall, by 9 inch, you have to put it in feet. So, that much brick will be used. Look at the number of brick, 2278. So you always will be, you इसमें आपने क्या करना है, इसमें आपने ऊपर राउंड अप करना है. You have to round it up to the upper number. So if I need bricks, so I will be needing, if I ask the contractor to bring bricks for me, so I will not tell him to provide this much brick exactly. I will tell him to provide at least 2300 bricks. It is okay if I get some more bricks but not less bricks. So I always go for the higher rounds up. The mortar that will be using, by mortar I mean masala, which you use for our local terminologies. So if it's a 1:4 masala, so for that we'll be using that much of a cement. This is in cubic feet. So actually 8.1 bags of cement. So I will be asking him for 9 bags of cement. Always round it up to the higher number. And sand 40.5 cubic feet. So this is the quantities. If you see, if I want a wall, what I need? I need bricks. I need mortar, which is masala. And in mortar you use cement and sand. These two things. So actually in a brick wall I'll be needing 3 things: cement, sand, and bricks. So I need here almost 2278. If you round it up, so 2300 bricks, 8.1 bags of cement, almost 9 bags of cement, and 40.5 cube, almost 41 cubic feet of sand. ये तो quantity होगी. This is the quantity. Now rate, there is a document called MRS. You can easily Google it. You can easily Google the document. You can easily Google the document. This is called MRS. MRS is market rate system. I don't have an internet connection, So if you have an internet, let me have my internet connection, I will show you. तो रेट आप फिर एमआरएस से लेते हैं, you have to take the rate from MRS. So for there will be written कि कितने 1000 brick या 1 brick या 100 brick का उन्होंने रेट दिया होता है. For a certain amount of brick they have given the rate, for certain amount of bags of cement they have given the rate, for some certain amount sand they will be giving you the rate, or also you can take the rate from the market. आप market से भी rate पूछ सकते हैं. So for that you will calculate the कॉस्ट ऑफ द प्रोजेक्ट कि इस दीवार पे जो कि 15 बाय 15 फुट की दीवार है 9 इंच थिक है, उस पे आपका कितना खर्च आएगा. सो ये काम किसका है, ये क्वांटिटी सर्वेयर का है. द क्वांटिटी सर्वेयर विल डू व्हाट, he will be helping you in calculating the quantities of bricks, of cement, of sand. Similarly, if there is a concrete work, so he'll be helping you in calculating the quantity of again cement, sand and crush. If there is a steel work, you will give the dimensions of the steel and he'll be calculating you the total weight of steel, and that is in ton. These days, now the rate, again you should know it, or you should use the MRS, or you should go to the market. From the market you can take the rate of the. Now this is for this amount of for this length and length, for example this much of this is the length of sides and this is the spacing of the bar, so you can calculate the steel. This is the steel 1.69, 1.7. So if you see the rate for I have asked recently from some guy and he told me that 1,85,000 is the rate for per ton of steel. So if you are having 1.69 ton of steel, so you have to take multiply it with the rate of per ton, and see this is the rate of, that is almost 3,12,145 rupees. So that is the rate of 1.69 steel. So that is how you can calculate the rate as well. So the quantity surveyor helps in calculating the quantity of material that will be used in a project and the cost of those material. This is what the job of a QS or a quantity surveyor is. Thank you for watching the video. Inshallah, see you in the next one.